Maximize your Uber accident settlement. Get paid what you deserve. Rideshare companies such as Uber, Lyft, all of these, they're everywhere. And it's no surprise that it's more and more common to have Uber, Lyft, other rideshares involved in automobile crashes. So we're going to talk about just an overview of the settlement process when an Uber or rideshare or Lyft or anything like that is involved. The most important thing is whenever there's an accident, the accident must be reported to the at-fault driver's insurance company. Now, if you're a passenger in an Uber, well, you are in the best spot ever, because if you're a passenger, absent you reaching over, grabbing the wheel, you're not at fault for an accident when you're a passenger in a vehicle, including Uber. So if you are a passenger in an Uber vehicle and you're in an accident, you can actually make a claim with the Uber app. If you're driving a vehicle and an Uber driver cuts you off or causes an accident, you still have to make a claim with the Uber driver's insurance. And there's ways to do that. Always call us for help on that too. So the starting of all of this is making a claim with the at-fault insurance company. Again, if you're a passenger in an Uber, you ordered the Uber and you're paying for it, make a claim with Uber, even if you think Uber didn't do anything wrong, because you don't know that. And we don't want to eliminate any possibility of recovery by saying, oh, we're not going to make a claim against Uber. If you're a passenger, all I know for sure is you didn't do anything wrong. So make a claim. That's the most important part. And that is the first part of any type of accident involving Uber, Lyft, or any rideshare company. Number 2, call the police. Uber drivers, if the accident isn't serious, oh, it's just a scrape or just a bump, let's not call the police. Call the police. If you have issues down the road, if you don't feel too bad at the time of the crash, but the next day you start feeling a little achy, go to the doctor. If there's not a crash report, it's going to be an uphill battle. Now, I don't mind fighting uphill battles, but calling the police and waiting for the police to come, making a crash report, that's going to make things so much easier. And there's no reason you should not do that. So if you're a passenger in an Uber vehicle or Lyft or any rideshare that's been in an accident, call the police. Hey, I want you to come make an accident report. If you're just driving and you get hit by an Uber, Lyft, or any rideshare, call the police. Even if you think, well, the accident's not that bad, we'll just exchange information, don't do it. It's a trap. Call the police, make an accident report. Just please trust me on that. I understand we're all busy. Uber drivers are getting paid for driving, not for sitting around waiting for the police, but it's so important to get a crash report by a police officer. On that same token, while you're waiting for that police officer to come, if it's physically possible and it's safe to do so, get pictures of the damage, pictures of the drivers, pictures of the driver's license plate, pictures of anything in the vehicle that you think will be helpful. Traffic signs, the intersection, just get a picture. You can't go wrong. These phones, so crazy today. I would literally pull my phone out and make sure everyone was okay. Get my phone out and I would just record video. Hey, this is what's going on, nice and slow. I'd probably put it in my pocket, like a body cam for a police officer, and just do it myself, make sure everyone's safe, getting the police called, do all that stuff. But document what's going on. Now, if you're in the Uber app and you're making a claim, you can put on there the injuries, all sorts of details, but you have to be careful because anything you put into the Uber app can be used against you later for an insurance adjuster to try to lower the value of your claim. So be very careful of what you put into the Uber app, but you do have to make a claim with the Uber app if you're a passenger in the Uber, because that's the first step. You can always give us a call, we'll walk you through it, but usually you're on the side of the road. Just be honest, be truthful, but don't get into specifics. Try not to get as specific as possible because, again, that's going to be used against you. After a claim is made with the Uber app, Uber's insurance is going to actually call you, and they're going to get a statement. And the more serious the injuries, the more experienced adjuster you may or may not get. But basically, they're going to be trying to get you to make statements. Again, anything you tell the Uber adjuster can be used against you. Now, if the Uber driver didn't do anything wrong, but somebody hit them, well, that adjuster may or may not be on your side. But at the same time, don't concede that the Uber driver didn't do anything wrong, because if you do concede that, you eliminate the possibility, or likely eliminate the possibility, of Uber's insurance paying for any damages you've done. The reality is, even if you feel Uber driver didn't do anything wrong, you don't know that. You're not a lawyer, you're not a police officer, you're not an accident reconstructionist. And if you tell them, I don't think he did anything wrong, all you do is eliminate the Uber's responsibility to pay for your damages, and you're stuck with the person that caused the accident. And who knows? Uber drivers have $1 million in coverage, but the person that you think is at fault may have no insurance, or maybe they have $25,000 of insurance. What if your medical bills are $300,000? And all you have to go after is somebody with $25,000. That's not a very good day in court for you. It's not a very good settlement. So be careful stating what you think somebody did wrong. And again, if you're the passenger in the Uber, only thing you know for sure is you didn't do anything wrong. And if you are driving and you're hit by an Uber driver, you would never concede that you did anything wrong. Hey, he pulled in front of me. He's at fault. Be careful talking with the adjuster. Quite frankly, if you are seriously injured, you probably need to get an attorney involved when you're talking to the adjuster just to help guide you in the conversations you have, so something is not said that can be misconstrued and used against you to lower the amount they have to pay you. Now, the biggest misconception we have is, well, I made a claim, I'm going to get a payout. No, making a claim simply gets the insurance company involved in investigating. So making a claim with Uber, well, that simply gets an Uber investigator and claims adjuster to call and investigate. But making a claim does not mean you're going to get paid. There's lots of things that have to go into effect before someone's paid on an Uber accident claim. Was the Uber driver at fault? Was the other person at fault? What are the insurance limits? What are the medical bills? What is the pain and suffering? There are so many factors that go into this. So simply making a claim doesn't do anything. It's just start of the process, but it's an important start of the process. Now, if Uber is driving you around, or they're using the Uber app, or even have nobody in the car, but they're on the way to pick somebody up, and they cause an accident, there's going to be $1 million in coverage. That's for Uber. Other ride shares, including Lyft, probably have the same type limits, but there's usually $1 million coverage when the Uber is involved. Now, just because Uber has that coverage doesn't necessarily mean Uber is responsible. So if Uber driver is just driving you and somebody T-bones you, well, Uber driver probably didn't do anything wrong, although we wouldn't concede that. The person that actually caused the accident is going to be responsible. Now, Indiana, the minimum coverage is $25,000 per person per incident. So it's not very much. And medical bills get up really high, really fast, especially if someone's taken by ambulance or has to go to the doctor a few times. But just because Uber is involved does not mean Uber is going to actually be paying the claim. There's lots of stuff that goes into that. So keep that in mind, which is why it's so important to not make blanket statements. Oh, my Uber driver didn't do anything wrong. I don't think my Uber driver did anything wrong. My Uber driver is driving perfectly. That's not for you to decide, and that can only hurt your case. And so, obviously it seems like from a settlement standpoint, it's better to have Uber responsible than non-Uber responsible. What goes all into that? Well, a lot of that's going to be the police report, which is why it's so important for the police come and make a police report, make a crash report. It's not definitive, but as a society, we trust police officers, especially officers that do this all the time. So if the officers say, hey, Uber was speeding, that's a part fault, but this guy blew the red light. Well, there may be multiple avenues of recovery, and there's multiple ways of allocating fault. So determining fault is something that can get complicated, but it's easier if a police officer comes. It's easier if there's witnesses, and it's easier if there's video evidence or pictures of the scene and stuff like that. So remember, call the police, get pictures, get video, get as much evidence as possible. Now in Indiana, there's one small asterisk for this: passenger's not responsible. Passenger can't be responsible for the crash, but Indiana made this weird seatbelt law where if you're not wearing a seatbelt, the jury gets to hear about that, and it's possible a jury could lower a verdict or settlement. Well, you wouldn't have been hurt as much if you were wearing a seatbelt. So wear your seatbelt. Even more important, wear your seatbelt when you're in an Uber. Because number one, you don't know who an Uber driver is. He could be a crazy driver. Make sure you wear your seatbelt all the time, but especially in an Uber ride. And so, what factors go into the type of settlement? Well, the big thing is types of injuries, how long a person was laid up in the hospital or couldn't go back to work. But the reality is medical bills are a big driver of settlement value. So the more medical bills a person has, the higher settlement value. Now, that being said, people in Indiana, we respect and we're rooting for people that get back on their feet as soon as possible. So someone that's, maybe going back to work, but they're not 100% better, but they're trying. I've seen higher verdicts, higher settlements for those type of people because we're rooting for them, because they're trying. And because they're trying, jurors want to help them. But the reality is, it's not everyone can always go back to work. But we don't want anyone saying someone's malingering or not trying because serious injury, but the person not even trying to go down fast. So there's so many things that go involved. But the types of injuries, a broken bone is going to be more valuable than I have an ache in my back for a couple of days. Someone that's not able to go to work for a couple of months is going to be a higher settlement than someone that was off of work for 2 days, and those 2 days were only to go to doctor's appointments. Although that's still a valuable case. There's so much stuff that goes into the value of a settlement: injuries, medical bills, time off of work, the miss a promotion. Did you have to use your vacation days? Were you not able to be with your spouse in the way that they expected, or your children, because you were hurt? Because if you're at the hospital and doctor, we know you're not doing certain things in the house. So there's all sorts of ways we have to actually use to try to figure out the value of an Uber case. So that is a general overview of automobile accident involving Uber, Lyft, or any rideshare. Now, things can get complicated fast, and Uber is very aggressive at defending their drivers because, well, they know that there's significant insurance policy, so they're usually very aggressive. If you have been involved in an accident with an Uber, Lyft, or any rideshare, we understand that can be very frustrating. So I tell you this, allow the Mark Lopez Law Firm to turn your frustration into compensation. We would love to help you. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to call us. We love talking to people, love talking to people through their options. Give us a call, 317-632-3642.